Hey cutie. Welcome back, or welcome if you're new. My name is Laura. Hi, hello, welcome. It's been a super gloomy day today, and I've been like waiting all day for like maybe a glimmer of the sun to come out to film, but it is not happening. It's not in the cards today. It is just gloomy. I am excited. I have a few palettes kind of set all in front of me, 8 palettes to be exact in front of me, and these are the palettes I'm really excited to reach for this autumn, like the next 2-3 months. I'm going to try to focus on these 8 palettes, and I have different reasons for each of them. I have them kind of arranged in like the ones I'm probably going to reach for least to the one I want to reach for the most. Other than that, it's just kind of what I'm feeling right now. So this could totally change in like a week or a month of which ones I'm really trying to prioritize. There's a couple in here that will be like things I can change up. So we'll get to that when we get to that in a bit. But yeah, let's just talk about the palettes that I'm grabbing for this autumn. One I'm probably going to reach for the least, and it's only because I just recently, within the past month or two, did reach my no pan left behind goal in this. So I do feel like I've plenty reached for this recently enough. But that is the Natasha Denona Yucca palette, this absolute gorgeous, gorgeous palette here. But this is the Yucca palette. It is absolutely stunning. It is one of my absolute favorite types of color stories. I love sandy, rich kind of colors like this with oranges, with a couple pops of green. Now, I will be honest, this one is not my favorite green. Willow is just kind of an undertone I don't reach for that often. It's pretty unique in my collection because I don't reach for it that often, but in the grand scheme of this palette, I probably could do without this shade. However, it does pair really nicely with this shimmer Maquia. It has like a very similar base tone to it. I know it looks mostly gold, but it does have a similar base shade to Willow. Galathea. So I love these kinds of shades. One, it's a cream powder kind of shade, so I really like those. And in general, I just like that shade of versus this one. I definitely prefer these shades of green more. Oop, hello Ripley. And then the shimmers in this palette are just so beautiful, and I'm really excited to reach for this palette in, I think, the next month for sure. October is going to probably be the time for this one to shine. As we get like in the cooler autumnal months, I reach for like cooler tone shades. So this is going to be like a nice transition kind of palette too, because there are some cool tones in this palette as well. So I'm very excited to reach for the Yucca palette. After the Yucca palette, I have another palette that really screams autumn to me, and that is this absolute beauty here. This is the Adept Cosmetics Ninhydrin palette. This has just some absolute stunning deeper jewel tones in it, even like ACI 22 here. ACI 19 is kind of it looks taupe from this angle, but looks very purple from this angle. So lots of really beautiful, beautiful jewel tones. I did reach for this in No Pan Left Behind at the first quarter this year. So by March, I had hit No Pan Left Behind, but I really wanted to revisit it this time of year because I do think this is better for like the autumn months. So I'm really excited to reach in for this one as well and get some good looks out of like these more like purpley jewel tone kind of shades down here. I think these will be absolutely beautiful. Very excited to reach for this one as well, but this might actually be the one that's a little bit lower than the Yucca palette too, because I just don't reach for these kinds of shades too often. So I want to dabble into more jewel tone shades. Even if I just use these shades on my lower lash line, I do like grungier, deeper kinds of shades like that. Even multichromes, I mean maybe especially multichromes, because they do add a bit of dimension and like pizzazz to probably a very basic, boring part of an eye look. Like nobody really cares about the under eye, like zhuzh, you know, it's fine. After the Ninhydrin palette, I did actually say my Natasha Denona Gold would be the next palette I would want to reach for. Mine looks slightly different. I did swap out 2 shades in this palette before I sent a different palette to a friend. So I did swap out this shade here. And then what other shade did I swap out? Maybe this one, I think. I'm pretty sure it was like these two, something like that. But my gold palette looks a little bit different and a little bit better for me personally. I just like golds in like a red and like a warm red like that together. These are kind of my favorite kinds of eyeshadow, so I'm really excited to give myself permission to reach for a shade like that. I really like them on really warm bases, like this shade here. This is Jasper from, I don't remember what palette. It was a quad that Haley had sent me, but I think those two would pair really nicely together, and I'm very excited to reach for this. This is going to be something really, really easy to grab for like the office, and if I have any like meetings going on, this will be like the staple palette I want to grab and just focus my attention on for this. So this just screams like cozy vibes to me. So this definitely is a very autumnal palette in my opinion. Another one that's autumnal, and maybe it's more because I still have yet to hit my No Pan Left Behind in this palette, but that is one reason why I'm reaching for it this autumn, because obviously I want to hit that No Pan Left Behind goal, but also because this was a holiday palette release, and the holidays releases start coming already. Like, I was looking at Ulta and there's already holiday releases. It's crazy. But, maybe I should show you the packaging. This is the Too Faced Maple Syrup palette. Maple Syrup Pancakes palette. And this was a release, I think, 2 Christmases ago. I bought this when I worked at Ulta for said holiday season. I really want to focus in on this because I do have to hit No Pan Left Behind in this palette still, but even so, even like without having to hit No Pan Left Behind, I really do feel like this is a nice autumnal palette with some of the range of shades in here. You get really cozy vibes that you can do with some of the warmer browns and like some of these warmer mauve tones, but then you get some like very different shades with like the bits of green in there, and like some of these purples are just super exciting and more fun purples, like very pops of pinks and purple. And I feel like in autumn, I really just want like cozy vibes and something that I can just grab and it will go with anything. One that screams like Thanksgiving, but that is the Nabla Dreamy 2 palette. This palette is very autumnal, very like roasted turkey in my opinion. I know exactly why this palette makes me think of November in particular. I did buy this for like my birthday a couple years ago, or a few years ago at this point, and this just really screams like autumn in my opinion. I think because of the fact I bought it in November, but also because some of these shades just really look like a roasted turkey dinner in my opinion. They look very Thanksgiving-y, but I really like this palette. I will say I did swap out the shade here. I believe that was, I don't even know. I covered it up with like the actual shade that's in there. I repressed some of Glass Bowl into that shade. That is a Colourpop shade, and I feel like it just looks a lot better in this palette. Before it was a really, it was the shade REM, and it was a very lackluster sheer, like very light periwinkle blue, but very sheer, really didn't do anything. And I figured at least this has some of that like blue tone in it, but it has a bit of a base to it, so it at least looks like something. And with some of these shades here, that kind of shade I thought looked really pretty with it. So that is like not with the original palette, but I really like the Nabla Dreamy 2, and I really am excited to let myself use this. Now, the next couple palettes are, maybe I shouldn't rank them where they are because it's not really like a palette per se. It's an assortment of shades. And the first one is a empty magnetic palette that I put some shades in. And I do want to make a focus this next couple months to reach for all of the single shadows that I have yet to hit No Pan Left Behind in. I don't have that many split between my round singles and my Cliona singles. I just, like, I can get through them, and I just have to make an actual effort to it. So I am going to start curating little autumn palettes, I think. And this is really cute in my opinion. I am really excited to reach for this. This really does scream like September leaning into October to me, and that's the perfect time of year right now to roll something like this in to like use this next couple weeks. I have a lot of blue purples, blurples that I have to use this year still in my singles and Cliona shades, so this is like me really trying to give myself the push to get a move on those kinds of shades. But I'm really excited to reach for my single shades more this autumn. Along the same kind of lines, I do have a Natasha Denona palette here, but it by no means houses the Zen-Do palette, which is what this packaging is. I actually went through all of my midi-size Natasha Denona palettes, and I came up with this assortment of shades right now. These are from all of the various Natasha Denona palettes I have in my collection, but this is very like muted down rainbow, like a desaturated rainbow almost. And I'm really excited to reach for this autumn. I think these shades in particular, I've made like a very beautiful assortment for the next 2 or 3 months. Again, I'm really excited to reach for these shades in particular. I'm super excited. This shade in as well has like a green base as I look at it from my angle, but I know you're going to see a lot of purple in it. It's a really beautiful multi-chrome kind of shade. Maybe you can see the green as I flip it. Yeah, it's just super, super beautiful, and I can't wait to reach for this. That is a shade that looks better, in my opinion, when I have a very light hand and use it on the lids, because a lot of the deeper base shade comes out of it on my eyes. But yeah, I'm very, very excited to reach for this palette in particular. I think this assortment of shades is just so dreamy. It just gives me like sweater weather vibes in a palette. I was not going to put this as my number 1 palette for autumn until I was pulling out my palettes. I opened it and my jaw dropped. I forgot how beautiful this palette is. I no pan left behind this in January this year and then set it away and focused on all of the other palettes, all of the other eyeshadows in my collection. And I told myself that I was going to revisit this palette in the autumn months because I think that's when this palette really was going to shine. Miss Pat McGrath, this is the Midnight Sun. The Mothership Midnight Sun. Is that which one you are? Yeah, Mothership 6, Midnight Sun. And I did buy the Star Wars packaging because I am a Star Wars fanatic. This is what the Mothership Midnight Sun palette looks like. It's so stunning. This palette is truly so stunning. I definitely didn't appreciate it at the time of year when I bought it. It was December 31st, 2023, they had their Pat McGrath sale going on, and I just bit the bullet with the 30% off. I wanted to buy the Star Wars packaging. I specifically wanted the Star Wars packaging. I really didn't care what palette it was because I knew even if I didn't like the quality, at least I have this beautiful, beautiful artwork and package, and I thought that this was just absolutely spectacular. And I definitely feel like when I bought this, it was the wrong time of year because January is a hard time for like darker eyeshadows, in my opinion. I really want like lighter, softer because it's winter and I want to just like be twinkly. So I think that this is much better suited for this time of year, and I cannot wait. I cannot wait to reach into like this little quad here. I think these shades up here would be beautiful. Just like using this green on the lower lash line. This shade is like my favorite kind of eyeshadow. I'm like always drawn to these kinds of shades as well. It's a little bit deeper base than I normally go for in those kinds of shades, but again, I think that that's something that I could pair with like a red eyeshadow with that kind of deeper periwinkle, and it would be really, really special and really pretty. And again, I cannot wait to reach for this palette. This was so expensive, and I need to give myself the permission to use it, and what better time of year than autumn when the season just calls for these kinds of shades. So I'm very excited. Again, this is kind of that muted rainbow vibes that Natasha Denona. Maybe I can pair these actually together really well. Actually, yeah, I feel like that's going to be beautiful. And I'm excited. I'm so excited to reach for these. And you'll have to let me know what palettes you're reaching for this autumn. I really highly recommend just shopping your own collection, pulling shades that really inspire you for this time of year. You do not need to go out and buy all those holiday releases. it's usually the same stuff in different packaging. That is it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, I would love to know your palettes you're reaching for this autumn, or if it's spring where you live, let me know the palettes you're reaching for spring. I would love to know in the comments below, and I will see you guys in a few days in my next video. Until then, I hope you're staying healthy, sane, and safe, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye!
Ripley, you good?